Welcome back to Talk Solent. Great to have your company. We've got Neshla Avey and Mike Stratton on the sofa today, giving us their thoughts and their expertise on the articles we're discussing today. And of course, a reminder, if you've got news that we should be talking about, then contact us on our email, talk@solent.com, or send us a tweet on Twitter, #TalkSolent. Now, we've got an article from Forbes magazine for Neshla to scrutinise for us now, and this is about clairvoyance in the business world. And this lady here in this magazine, this article in Forbes magazine, Neshla Laura Boone, who knew as a child that she was so psychic, and often she felt a bit isolated and confused because of this as a child. So it was a difficult childhood, but now she's a successful businesswoman, and she advocates the use of psychics as advisors in the business world. Now, should this be something, Neshla, that is commonplace?
Well, I think nowadays more and more people are accepting psychics. Whereas, you know, I can relate to her feeling isolated as a child, because we do like to fit in, we do feel a little bit different to everyone else, and it's nice to be able to use your skills to help others. So why not help in businesses? It's the same thing as if you're helping somebody with their love life, with their career, or whatever problem they have in life. Why not help it in the business world? And I'm sure a lot of people do. Really, it's just not talked about more, because more people tend to see psychics as, you know, relationships. I mean, that's 90% of people's problems, isn't it? Yeah. But I mean, I see clients with business queries, definitely. If people are thinking of setting up their business, or maybe, you know, changing their structure around their business, that sort of thing. So yes, I mean, it should be successful. I don't see any reason why not.
And do you think it's going to go more that way in the future?
Do you know what? More and more people are beginning to look into something else. I think we've lost the ability, because we all have it, that ability to trust our sixth sense, that ability to listen to our gut feeling. Whereas I'm sure, you know, in generations ago, people did use it more. Whereas we've just got everything else, and we tend to research on technology, do all these sort of things, rather than just listening to our inner selves, which is why things like meditation are becoming more popular, because people then can quieten their busy minds, they're all stressed and whatever. But a lot of people come for reassurance. So I'm sure business people would go with a business plan, and maybe get the psychic to have a look at it and see what their feelings were and where that would be going.
Laura Boone said as a child she never wanted to talk about it with people, but it found its way out. Would you say it's been the same for you? It's found its way out of you?
Oh, definitely. As a young person, I was always a bit odd, or the one with the overactive imagination, you know, and you tend to dumb it down a bit, I think, and then later on it does. It is part of you. So you just let it go, and when you do, you feel a lot better about being you. I used to be very defensive about what I did, and now I don't. I just say, well, if you don't believe in it and you don't, then that's your choice, you know. I don't do the old defensive bit anymore. So yeah, I just think it's nice that she's using her gifts to help people, and if she's more of in the commercial business, then that's good.
And Mike, where would you be on the spectrum? Are you a non-believer? Are you skeptical or cynical, or do you embrace psychic phenomena and clairvoyance and mediumship and all these things?
I've seen a clairvoyant once.
Right.
She only asked me for my name, my first name. That was all she asked me, and she told me a lot about myself, which obviously I already knew. And I was quite surprised. I think clairvoyance in business is probably a good thing.
Right.
You've got some business owners, people are always, there's more and more people setting up their own business now.
Right.
That's true.
And I think that's down to the fact of the unemployment figures. I think where if you can't find a job, set up your own business, because there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to buy products. So you do need some help. There's two types of business owners. There's people that, like you said, gut feeling, just go out and do it, and there's other people that plan very carefully over a period of time, get up a business plan, and just go with the flow. But I think clairvoyance could probably be quite handy if they've got the power to tell you your future, and then they've got the power to tell you where you're going wrong or if you're doing something right. And
Is it just about the future, Neshla, though? With clairvoyant and psychic work, people often use to think about the future. Is it about more than just predicting the future? Is it about the past and the present as well?
When I see people, like you say, I tell them a bit about themselves, and yes, they know it, but that also makes them realise I'm genuine and I'm giving them some information. But also, I think we have to look at a little bit of past. The past always shapes it, but you don't want to go too far back in the past. You don't want to go too far ahead in the future, because it doesn't matter what's happening in 20 years' time. Most people want to know what's happening now and in the immediate future, so the next couple of years or so. And I think that if we can give some guidance for that person that helps to help them move on, then that's good. But like anything, you know, people have got to recognise that they are responsible for their own lives to a certain extent. So whatever is there, because it's all energy about what's happening, although there's a difference between fate and where they're meant to be going and what might happen along the way. I always say, you know, if you've got this main road, so you're going down that way, if you turn right or left, you could deviate, go in a different way, but you'll always get back on that main path. So I feel that it's shaping the here and now, which shapes the future, if you see what I mean, rather than just predicting too much ahead.
Right. In this article in Forbes magazine, Laura says that clients and employees alike approached her with requests for readings and guidance. Before she knew it, her business community was crossing over with her spiritual community and a new door opened. That's an interesting way to put it, isn't it?
It makes sense. I mean, I was in business, I was in publishing, and I had the same sort of thing, because I've got that thing, you know, people would want readings, and before you know it, you start getting busy, and it's then when you recognise you get more, well, I did, more fulfilment helping people than I did making money for a corporate world, that I decided to do mine full time. And I think it's like anything, things grow as you progress, like anything in any way in life, whatever you do in life.
Would you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, I think the most important thing in business is you've got a friend, right? Because business is very lonely. So you need to be able to turn to somebody, and in some cases it would be a clairvoyant, other times it would be, you know, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever, your partner. But you always do need somebody to turn to, and I think that's quite important to have a friend in business, and I think a clairvoyant could be a good friend. I never believed in any of this mediumship until I saw one, and I was absolutely taken back by what she knew about me. I was, and how she forecast my immediate future, and she was spot on, absolutely spot on. She told me a lot of things that I didn't even. Well, I come out of there in tears, actually, because I was quite scared.
Right.
Of what she told me, but
that happens quite often.
To be fair, she was absolutely bang on, and I couldn't believe it. So yeah, that would be a handy person to have around.
And just to cut in and go back to the article about animal communicators, which was the article in Indie Star, which we talked about before the break. As for the method that these communicators use, they're talking here about a crystal pendulum which is held over a map to pick up pet energy signals to find the location of the pet. Kafka sent Link a photo of Ramsey, and combined with his talking to the dog and map dowsing, he said he has zeroed in on her likely whereabouts.
Well, that makes sense to me, because if I was looking, say, for a missing dog or whatever, I might see something, because I see in pictures, so I might see a wooded area, and I might know it's around the London area, but I wouldn't be able to pick out, and I might get a word if I was lucky, but to pinpoint it down, pendulum is really useful. Have you seen how people working with them?
Could you
Shame I didn't bring with my. It literally is something like, so you could have a crystal on the end of a string, and you literally could take it off and hold it over. In fact, I can probably do it with a necklace. Bear with me a sec.
If you can get it off.
Yeah. Just get the right part.
Have you heard of the pendulum?
I haven't.
So a pendulum would be something dangling on a bit of string, and you'd hold it very still and you'd ask it. So you put your hand there for the energy. So I could say, show me a yes, and see how it's moving in circles. See how it's moving. And then I'd say, show me a no, and it would move as a no. So you literally would go over a map and just say, you know, is the dog in this vicinity? And it would say no. And yes, and you'd move the pendulum around until you actually could pinpoint it exact location on a map, and that's how they work with pendulums.
And that's reliable if somebody's asking a question which requires a yes or no answer as well?
Yes, it's got to be very specific, your questions, when you're dowsing with a pendulum. You can't just say, you know, is the love of my life around the corner or whatever. It's normally when you're, as I say, doing something like that, because then you're literally pinpointing something that needs that 100% accuracy. But so what you're doing is you're tuning in with spiritual energy and the energy of that animal in order to pinpoint where he is.
Exactly the same way as you would do with a human being.
Exactly. So that wouldn't surprise me a bit. I mean, that's the way to do it, to make that accuracy, because if you know that dog is, I don't know, been taken in by an old lady in a house with a green door, you're not going to know where that is, are you?
No.
So you've literally got to home in, and once you found the county, then you find, you know, the road, and then you find the house. Do you see what I mean? So we've got to, and it takes a while to get there, but that's how you work using the pendulum.
Oh, thank you, Neshla. It's great to have you on again, and for your take on those articles, because we're still at a point in, you know, where these things are still a little bit alternative, and a little bit surprising.
Not to me.
For some people.
Yes, exactly.
Not to you two, by the looks of it. No,
it's just part of everyday life to me.
I do believe there's something out there. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a complete believer, but I do. You know, I still have reservations, but
I think you've got to a certain extent, because there are a lot of people out there that may not be genuine, but not just that, but you've got to have your own free will, because if you rely too much on a psychic, say, that tells you, you know, and they plan your life for you, you're not using your own free will, which we have. So we can change our destinies to a certain extent by exercising our free will. It's not written in stone, and that's where a lot of people go wrong.
That's a very positive point to conclude. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. It just goes so quickly. I don't know where that hour's gone. All we've got time for today, unfortunately, never enough time. My very many thanks to today's panelists. Talk Solent returns in a couple of weeks' time at the same time. All the best. Goodbye.